Hello, America. Welcome to Common Sense. I'm Wendy Bell. Justin Trudeau resigns in disgrace. Kamala makes her defeat to Donald Trump official. Merrick Garland becomes the most hated man in Washington. And George Soros, of course, gets a presidential medal received by his son, all for helping to turn Democrat-run cities into lawless hellscapes. Just another typical week in the world of politics. January 6th went by the book. President Trump's re-election was certified. No muss, no fuss. Trump, who allegedly tried to overturn the last election, won it this time and is legitimately returning to power, and did so in a landslide. The lawfare cases against him have crumbled. The women who've accused him of whatever have returned to their own obscurity. The lunatic DAs who tried to prosecute him have all been relegated to irrelevance. And now queer people and trannies are buying guns. Weird, right? Gun haters. Well, if that wasn't enough, there's a quademic we all need to be totally afraid of. The media, for some reason, totally dropped the drone story like a hot potato cooked in lava. And there's a new bird flu vaccine available for everybody who survived the COVID jab. Let's not even go there with the tragedy in New Orleans or that Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas. I mean, who even knows what to believe there? It's certainly not the FBI. So where to begin? Let's start by introducing today's panel. I'm a talk radio host, and so are they. Say hello to Dan O'Donnell. He's the host of the Dan O'Donnell Show on News Talk 1130 WISN out of Milwaukee. Hey, Dan. Melanie Collette hosts Money Talk with Melanie on 98.7 The Coast out of New Jersey. Looking good, Mel. And Ari Hoffman hosts the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 AM KVI out of Seattle. Ari also writes for the Post Millennial. All of you guys, it's great to have you back. You know, with all this noise out there that we just ran through, the confirmation of Trump's cabinet, I'm going to say, to me, it's the biggest story going. Do you guys believe, and Dan, let's start with you. Do you believe all of the president's nominees are going to make it through? And if not, who do you think is going to make the most, I don't know, face the most blowback, if you will?
Well, up until about a week ago, I would have said Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense, but apparently the new Senate Majority Leader John Thune has privately told Trump that Hegseth does have the votes to get confirmed. Right now, I think the obvious choice has got to be RFK Jr. for HHS Secretary. There's going to be one that Democrats and the media make a big deal about that they try to take out just because they want to scalp, right? And it was always going to be Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. That one was pulled very, very quickly. He rescinded his own nomination. I do believe the most controversial one, Tulsi Gabbard, maybe, but I think it's got to be RFK Jr. And they're going to turn those confirmation hearings into, I think, a circus with some of the things that RFK has said and, let's face it, done over his many, many years in the public eye.
Yeah, it's interesting. Melanie, do you agree with that?
I don't. I see what he's saying. That probably is going to be a bit of a circus just because it's RFK. But I think Kash Patel is the one that the establishment is probably the most afraid of, that Democrats and the establishment are afraid of. And I think that, you know, if he were to get confirmed, and hopefully he will, that we're going to find out about the shenanigans that went on during the Trump term. And I think that there's probably a lot of people on both sides of the aisle that fear that. And I feel like he might get the hardest time getting through because of that. I mean, if you have clean hands, you're fine. But I feel like there are a lot of dirty hands during the Trump administration that Kash is going to find out about.
I don't disagree. You know, Ari, the Senate could expedite these hearings in the light of New Year's terror attack in New Orleans, that Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas. I wonder, Ari, do you agree with Senator John Barrasso, who tweeted this? He says that the U.S. Senate must confirm President Trump's national security team as soon as possible. Lives depend on it. Is that where we are? Do you agree?
Absolutely. Let's not forget, we still have 7 Americans who are hostages, along with close to 100 other people in terror tunnels in Gaza. They just found 2 more bodies the other day. So we literally have American lives on the line, and we're trying to negotiate with a terrorist organization. Donald Trump has said that if those hostages are not returned by the time he's in office, all hell will break loose in the Middle East. And he's 100% right, because these guys have held these hostages for close to 500 days already.
Yeah, that's true. And Ari, do you believe that Trump is good for that word?
Absolutely. I mean, we saw what he did with ISIS. He destroyed ISIS completely. This is a guy who had world peace breaking out, including in the Middle East with the Abraham Accords. And then the second the Biden administration comes in, the world goes straight to hell with the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Right, I don't disagree. Dan, is there somebody that you think is the most important, like the number one you got to get in right now? I mean, when you think about Lloyd Austin and the stuff that's going on, releasing these Yemeni terrorists connected to 9/11, it's like, what isn't the Biden administration doing right now, or Barack Obama, to totally screw anything that Donald Trump wants to do moving forward?
And in fact, Trump actually recently just complained about that the Biden team is making the transition as difficult as possible. He didn't go into too many specifics, but to answer your question, Wendy, I think the most important to get in instantly is going to be the Attorney General, the Director of the FBI, and everyone involved in what I believe to be far and above even national security, the single biggest threat to the body politic and to American citizens, and that is a thoroughly corrupt justice system that has been weaponized for political purposes in third world banana republic fashion to try to take out the opposition. That's something we've never seen in American history, and that really is how democracies slide into autocracy. And the quicker that that is rooted out and stopped, the better. I think we need to get that team in as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, and Melanie, it's interesting. You hear Joe Biden in his goodbye, going away talk to USA Today, says that he's considering pardoning Fauci. To Dan's point about RFK Jr. being probably very feared among this crew, look into your crystal ball. Do you, first of all, see the Fauci pardon? And do you think that RFK Jr. is probably the most dangerous to them, just because of the connections with the big pharma, bad science grift?
Oh, well, certainly from a financial standpoint and an investment standpoint, he certainly is. And all the, elected officials and politicians that are in the pocket of Big Pharma. Certainly from that perspective, he's a huge threat. But, I would say that that's as far as pardoning Dr. Fauci is concerned, what I hear from legal people is that's not a proven strategy, the preemptive pardoning. So I don't know that even if he does that Dr. Fauci will be safe. And if Dr. Fauci didn't do anything wrong during COVID, what's with the preemptive pardoning in the first place?
Right. And you know what, Ari, it's interesting when I see these, I remember Obama putting the medal on Ellen DeGeneres and Barbara Streisand, and then we see Joe Biden, somewhat vertical, trying to put these presidential medals of this or that on these people like George Soros and Liz Cheney and Hillary Clinton and what have you. I mean, do you think the public sees that this is all a payoff grift?
Absolutely. And you look at somebody like George Soros, who paid billions of dollars to get that medal. This is a guy who has funded all the DAs who will not prosecute crimes. Look at all the cities that they are in charge of. They are all crime-filled cesspools right now. And actually what they did, what Obama and what Biden both did, diminished this medal. So you had somebody like Michael J. Fox. I'm not agree with Michael J. Fox's politics, but he's raised millions of dollars for Parkinson's research. And then you put him up there next to Hillary Clinton, who she hasn't done anything to benefit humanity. And George Soros has actually done everything he can to destroy humanity, starting with when he was a child and he was a Nazi collaborator. So it diminishes people who actually deserve the medal, and it diminishes the honor they should be getting, rightfully so.
I don't disagree with you. And it's interesting, you guys, hang tight on me here, because, there's a deep sense of betrayal out there among a lot of Democrat voters, I think. Promises made, but not promises kept. Nearly $2 billion campaign dollars squandered. Is the Obama era officially dead? I want to ask the panel that so you all can decide next on Common Sense.